Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dylan, and welcome to Dylan the Truth Podcast. If you guys are new to this channel, I want you guys to subscribe to this, and also, I want you to click on the like button. Deeply appreciated. Now, I'm gonna get into hip hop, which I have a lot of love for. Like, I'm a hip hop junkie. And this topic I'm getting into is gonna be very interesting. It's the three rappers I believe that had the biggest debut albums of all time. And I'm going to start off with Snoop Dogg. If you remember, Snoop Dogg first came on the scene on Dr. Dre's song called Deep Cover. That created a big buzz for him because a lot of people were like, oh my god, this guy has a really nice flow. He has a really unique rap voice. And I've always said, if I was like a rapper, I wish I had Snoop Dogg's voice because I believe he has the best rap voice of all time. I don't think it's even close. So that created a big buzz for him. But it was the next record that he was on with Dr. Dre on the Chronic album called Ain't Nothing But a G Thing. And that was a huge record because like everybody was like, oh my god, yo, this guy is gonna be huge. And everybody remembers the line 1, 2, 3 into the 4. Snoop Doggy Dogg and Dr. Dre is at the door, ready to make an entrance, so back on up. Well, he made one hell of an entrance, that's for sure. He was not lying about that. And, he took off from there, and everybody was waiting for that debut album. And that album came out in 1993 called Doggy Style. And that's one of the greatest hip hop albums ever. One of my favorites for sure. It has like classic tracks like Gin and Juice, his biggest record till this day. What's My Name? Murder Was the Case, Pump Pump. I could go through the list. But that album was definitely one of the greatest albums ever. He definitely made a huge mark on the game because he's still doing this thing. He's still relevant. I mean, I believe he's the most famous rapper of all time, and I don't even think it's close. Little kids know who Snoop Dogg is. Your grandparents know about Snoop Dogg. I mean, this guy, like, he's larger than life. And, obviously, after, like, with his rap career, it was really successful. And then he ventured into movies and commercials and, a bunch of other things. Like, he was... Snoop is a megastar, for sure. And, there'll never be another Snoop. Like, he definitely made his mark on the game. And my second rapper, I believe, that had one of the biggest debut albums ever is my favorite rapper of all time, DMX. DMX first came on the scene, everybody, the world heard about him in 1997, LL's Cool J's classic track, 4321, which also featured Method Man and Redman. And believe it or not, DMX out-rapped all of those guys on that record. He outshined these guys. It was like, yo, this is the new rapper. Like, damn, he outshined these guys? Like, I was like, man, this guy's gonna be huge. That's what I was thinking. I was like, yo, this guy bad. I don't know, man. I gotta hear more from him. So then he was on other features like The Locks, Money, Power, Respect. Obviously he killed that track. It was another classic record. And also Mace featuring The Locks and Black Rob, rest in peace, on 24 Hours to Live. And of course, once again, he killed that track. So this buzz was like crazy. So, the streets been waiting for something like this because we haven't heard like hip hop, like hardcore hip hop in quite some time because I felt like at that time hip hop was doing more hip hop and R&B collaborations and too much of the shiny suits and just rapping about basically the typical things, jewelries, cars and women. But DMX went left with it and he brought it back to the streets. And I was so glad that he did that because it was something that hip hop really needed. And when he came out, boy, did he came out. In May of 1998, his debut album, Is Dark and Hell is Hot, came out. And the streets spoke because his album went number one and he ended up going triple platinum on that album. Yeah, Classic Records, my favorite record from DMX. Get At Me, Dog. Stop Being Greedy. How's It Going Down? And probably one of his biggest record, Rough Riders Anthem. Um, it was a huge album. One of my favorite hip hop albums of all time. Definitely my top five. And I still listen to it to this day. Like maybe probably every day I probably listen to it. Like I'm probably the biggest DMX fan you'll ever meet in your life. Like I know pretty much everything about this guy. Like he's my favorite rapper of all time. And obviously he passed away last year. It was an untimely death. Like it was unfortunate because hip hop really lost a huge superstar. It was a huge loss. And I remember when I heard about it and I was like, man, I was devastated. My favorite rapper is gone. But he definitely made a hell of a mark on the game. He was, I believe, the first rapper to have his first 5 albums debut at number one on the Billboards. I don't think, that would be touched, especially nowadays. Ain't nobody selling records nowadays. So, yeah, he's definitely made his mark. And rest in peace, Darkman X. Definitely my favorite rapper of all time. My third rapper that I would say that had the biggest debut album is 50 Cent. You remember 50 Cent came out with mixtapes like Power of the Dollar, he even had a song called How to Rob, and he was dissing a bunch of rappers in the industry. And he was going after everybody. I mean, he even mentioned Jay-Z. I mean, jeez. You mentioned Jay-Z, you're really asking for something there, man. But 50 Cent was creating a big buzz for himself, and also I believe what made his buzz even bigger was when he was going at Ja Rule. Now, if you remember, when he was going at Ja Rule at the time was one of the hottest rappers in the early 2000s. So, like, you're thinking, man, who's this guy? Like, 50 Cent, like, this guy's just out here dissing everybody. So he came out with a song called Wankster. And obviously it's a Ja Rule diss. And everybody was just like, oh my god, this guy is coming for Ja Rule. Like, what's going on here? And that created an even bigger buzz. Because now his album was just on the way. It's like literally right around the corner. And his debut album, I believe, came out in February of 2003 called Get Rich and Die Trying. That's definitely one of the greatest hip hop albums for sure. I think I'll probably put it in my top 10 without question. Definitely a huge record that year. I think he went diamond on that album. 50 Cent had the rap game on lock that year. Like he was on fire. He had some classic tracks. Obviously his biggest track till this day is In the Club. He had Many Men, 21 Questions, PIMP. From start to finish, you can't go wrong with that album. Like he came out in basically in the diss era. Because around that time, guys were going at each other, on diss records. I felt like in the early 2000s they were doing that. He came around that perfect time. And, he had a really great career as well. Obviously, with his albums, like he came up with 3 other albums or 4 other albums. 3 of them probably went platinum, double platinum, triple platinum. And then he was always a businessman. I've always felt like, okay, when he started to get into TV show, he had a vitamin water, he had the sneakers, he had a video game. So I knew this guy was like more of a business guy. So I was like, man, like he really took his career to a whole nother level. And 50 Cent, there's no question. If you love him or hate him, he definitely made a mark on this game, like, and you have to respect it. You know, he really had a huge impact on hip hop, especially in the early 2000s. And that's my three rappers that I believe that had the greatest debut albums of all time. If if you guys believe there's other rappers that had a bigger debut album than those three, feel free to comment. Let me know what it is. Let me know who these rappers are, because you're gonna be hard pressed to top that list that I just had. Those top three rappers. It's gonna be really hard for you to top that. And I would love for you guys to break it down as well. Like, if you guys are gonna say these other rappers had a bigger debut albums than those three rappers that I mentioned, you have to back it up instead of just going based off of their status and what you heard from somebody else. Because if you can't break down how I broke it down, then you don't really have much of an argument here. But I'm just gonna leave it there, and thank you guys for tuning into the video. Um, Appreciate you guys. Peace.